Are you good at taking care of yourself? Do you set aside time for things that make you happy? Because a lot of us photographers are so busy that our own self care is far from a priority. And since it's a new year, I thought it was a good time to talk about this so you can start off the new year in a better way. This is episode 67 of Sustainable Photography, and I'm your host, Ingvild Kolnes. You're listening to Sustainable Photography, where you get support and education to build your profitable business in a way that supports your way of living. I'm Ingvild Kolnes, and after 11 years as a photographer, I want to share what I've learned with you. So if you're looking for confidence, inspiration, and to-the-point tips, keep listening. For full transparency, I also want you to know that I'm a mentor with paid offers, and I might mention some of those in this episode. As a photographer, like any other professional in a creative field, you need to take good care of yourself to do your best work. When you run your own business, you are the most important asset in your business. And of course, it goes way beyond that. You need to feel good about yourself no matter what you do for a living. But right now, we're talking about it from your business standpoint. Self-care should be a priority in your life, and you should make it a part of your business plan. As a definition, self-care is the practice of taking time and energy to take care of your physical and mental and emotional well-being. And it can be anything from getting enough sleep to taking a break from work to going for a walk, reading a book. Really, it's about taking the time to do activities or things that make you feel energized, relaxed, and content. And self-care is important because it helps you to reduce stress, it gives your mood a boost, and it helps you to stay healthy. So, what can we do? First, make sure that you work on your mindset. Having a positive mindset is linked to improved self-care. And when we have a positive way of looking at ourselves and our lives, we are more likely to take care of our physical and mental and emotional health. This can mean anything from eating healthy to exercising regularly, getting enough sleep, practicing mindfulness, or just doing anything that makes us feel good. If we have a positive mindset, it can help us to have healthier relationships with ourselves and others, which again will have a positive impact on our overall well-being. So, having a positive mindset when you're feeling low, that's not really so easy. It's really a catch-22 where one will influence the other. But you can try using positive affirmations and surrounding yourself with people who are cheering you on and believing in that what you're doing is great rather than, rolling their eyes and thinking that you're crazy for wanting to be a full-time photographer. You also want to make sure that you take time off away from work and that you have breaks. And it sounds so easy, but it's really not because you have so much to do. It can be really hard to prioritize the right things, but maybe you can start by adding breaks to your to-do list. Try not to take on too much work and outsource the things that aren't really worth your time. When I talk about outsourcing, I often hear that, yeah, I could outsource editing, but I like it so much. And it doesn't really take me that long, while at the same time, I see them working day and night for weeks trying to finish their work to get it delivered to their clients on time. And that's time you could spend doing more shoots, time you could spend with your family or getting educated so that you can improve your business. And yeah, I understand that you like editing. I do too, but it's not worth my time as much as a lot of other things. So if you start weighing things against each other, you'll maybe find that it's easier to stop doing things that you like. If you want, you can check out episode 39 on how you could be hurting your business. Because making business decisions based on what you think is fun isn't always a good idea. Because your photography business is a business, and you need to take it seriously if you're going to make it. And taking breaks and stepping away from the idea that you have to do all the things yourself at all hours of the day is important. I outsource editing, both of my photos and my podcast. But that doesn't mean that it's easy to do. I have high standards, and it's been really hard to find someone that I think are good enough. But it's so worth it. Because if I were going to keep doing that myself, I wouldn't have time to do all the things that I'm doing now. I can focus on the things that make me money, that make my business money, that are improving my business, rather than things that someone else can do just as well as me, if not better than me. And just as an example, now that you know that I don't edit my own podcast, do you feel like it's not my podcast anymore? Does it take away from the value you get or how you look at me as a podcaster? Is it any different for you as a photographer? Because when it comes to my photos and the way I edit them, I outsource the editing usually. It's still my photos. It's my style. It's my responsibility. I review the photos before I send them to my clients. And if there's any final touches needed, I will do that myself. I waited to outsource these things until I knew how I wanted it done. I edited tons of my own podcast episodes and I knew how I wanted it done, what was annoying for me, what I was really unhappy about. And same with my photos. I knew what style was my style. And then I could teach that to an editor and then they can make sure that they're still my photos. And actually, I'll take this a step further because when I did art studies in university, I did a week of kind of like interning at an art printer. And there was a famous artist's prints lying all over the place. And it was the printer's job to make sure that they print them and that they represent the artist in whatever way the artist wanted to be. So the guy himself showed up for like half an hour one day to see how they were getting along. And I bet no one would ever claim that the prints weren't his, even though he wasn't there to oversee the process at all times. And I mean, not many artists do. Most of them outsource the actual work to others while they have the vision. And they might make the original and then they'll get printed copies of the rest. You can actually learn from these people's example because you'll free up time and you can still edit for fun whenever you want to, but you don't need to do it for money because it's better for you to spend that time doing other things. You also want to make sure that you charge enough so that you can maintain a good living standard and you can afford to take time off. And I know it always comes back to this with me, but if you're feeling burnt out, that you have way too much work to do and that you can't really prioritize taking time off or taking care of yourself, then chances are extremely high that you're not charging enough. As I've said many times, you need to calculate your prices, starting with your expenses and how much you want to get paid and how much work you want to do. You don't want to base your prices on other people's prices because they're not living your life and they don't have your clients. When your prices are profitable, you don't need to take on too much work and you can focus on getting your work done, on getting enough work instead of working yourself to the ground to make enough money to pay your bills. And this is what happens to way too many photographers. I see it all the time. So many are working 24/7 and think that's the way it should be or has to be if they have their own business. But that's not the case. You have to take care of yourself and you have to take charge of your business to make that happen. Because if you're not making any money or very little money, it's extremely hard to have a good life and to take care of yourself. The final thing I want to mention is goal setting, because goal setting can also help you to take care of yourself. But you have to set reasonable goals. Don't burn yourself out by taking on too many projects or setting deadlines that are unrealistic. But if you set goals that are achievable, it can help you to stay productive and it can help you to stay balanced. So to do that, you can break down your goals into smaller, more achievable chunks. That will make them easier to actually come true and for you to track. So you want to make sure that you review your goals. You want to make sure that you have a plan for how to achieve your goals. And you want to make sure that you schedule in time for taking breaks and for everything else you need. That way you can try to avoid filling your calendar with too many things. Because it all goes back to that self-care thing. You want to make sure that you prioritize it and that you schedule it in. And having goals and a plan can help you not do too many things at once. So I hope this can help you on your way to taking better care of yourself. And just as a quick summary, you want to make sure that you work on your mindset and you surround yourself with positive people. You want to take breaks and make sure you don't overwork yourself. And you need to work out your prices and try to set goals and follow a plan, which includes having break time and time to yourself as well. You can find me on Instagram at Ingvild Kolnes if you have any questions. See you next week. Thanks for listening to Sustainable Photography. Head over to Instagram at Ingvild Kolnes to tell me what you want future episodes to be all about. Check out the show notes over at ingvildkolnes.com/podcast. You can learn more about the Sustainable Photography program and sign up for the waitlist there. To get more of this content, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your support makes all the difference. Talk soon.